OR Tambo International Airport is a major airport in Kempton Park, Ekurhuleni, Gauteng, South Africa, near the city of Johannesburg. It serves as the primary airport for domestic and international travel to from South Africa and is Africa's busiest airport with a capacity to handle up to 28 million passengers annually, serving all continents except Antarctica. The airport is the hub of South Africa's largest international and domestic carrier, South African Airways, and a number of smaller local airlines. The airport handled a total of 18 million passengers in 2014. It was formerly officially known as Johannesburg International Airport and before that as Jan Smuts International Airport after South Africa's internationally renowned statesman by that name. The first renaming was done in 1994 when the newly reformed South African government implemented a national policy of not naming airports after politicians. The policy was however reversed later, and the airport renamed again on October 27, 2006 after Oliver Tambo, a former president of the African National Congress. History: the airport was founded in 1952 as Jan Smuts Airport, 2 years after his death, near the town of Kempton Park on the East Rand. It displaced the Palm-Fontein International Airport, which had handled European flights since 1945. It was used as a test airport for the Concorde during the 1970s, to determine how the aircraft would perform while taking off and landing at high altitude. During the 1980s, many countries stopped trading with South Africa because of the United Nations sanctions imposed against South Africa in the struggle against apartheid, and many international airlines had to stop flying to the airport. These sanctions also resulted in South African Airways being refused rights to fly over most African countries, and in addition to this the risk of flying over some African countries was emphasized by the shooting down of 2 passenger aircraft over Rhodesia, forcing them to fly around the bulge of Africa. This required specially modified aircraft like the Boeing 747 SP. Following the ending of apartheid, the airport's name, and that of other international airports in South Africa, were changed and these restrictions were lifted. The airport overtook Cairo International Airport in 1996 as the busiest airport in Africa and as the third busiest airport in the Africa-Middle East region after Dubai International Airport and Doha International Airport. In fiscal year 2010, the airport handled 8.82 million departing passengers. On November 26, 2006, the airport became the first in Africa to host the Airbus A380. The aircraft landed in Johannesburg on its way to Sydney via the South Pole on a test flight. Airport information: OR Tambo International Airport is a hot and high airport. Situated almost 1,700 meters above mean sea level, the air is thin. This means some aircraft must reduce weight by loading less fuel than they would otherwise. The thinner air is also the reason for the longer than usual runways. On some routes such as to North America it means flights from Johannesburg need to refuel en route while the return flight originating from a lower altitude airport can upload enough fuel to reach Johannesburg non-stop. OR Tambo International Airport is one of the few airports in the world that has non-stop flights to all 6 inhabited continents. On January 10, 2013 the airport's ICAO code was changed from FAJS to FAOR. Runways: there are 2 parallel north-south runways and a disused cross-runway. The western runway, 03L/21R, is over 4,400 meters long, making it one of the world's longest international airport runways. Fully laden aircraft require a far greater length of runway to achieve takeoff velocity at this altitude. Both runways are equipped with instrument landing systems. Furthermore, all runways are equipped with approach lighting systems with sequenced flashers, and touchdown zone lighting. Runway 03R/21L is 3,400 meters long and is also equipped at both ends with ILS, ALS with sequenced flashers, and TDZ lighting. The airport used to have a third runway but this was closed due to the danger it posed. It is now a taxiway. During busy periods, outbound flights use the western runway for takeoff, while inbound flights use the eastern runway for landing. Wind factors may cause numerous variations, but on most days flights will take off to the north and land from the south. South African Airways, Tambo International Airport used to serve as grounds for the South African Airways Museum. This room full of South African Airways memorabilia was started by two fans of the airline as a temporary location until they could set it up in one of Jan Smuts International's buildings in 1987. The museum has since relocated to Rand Airport. Developments. Airports Company South Africa reported that major new developments took place at the airport, in preparation for the 2010 FIFA World Cup. The development includes expansion of the international terminal, with the new international pier, which housed the new Airbus A380 and increased capacity at the same time. A new central terminal building, designed by Osmond Lang Architects and Planners, is under construction. An additional multi-story parkade is being built at a cost of R470 million opposite the central terminal building, plus Terminal A is also being upgraded and the associated roadways realigned to accommodate more international departures space. The central terminal building will boost capacity at the land side of the terminal in 3 levels, also allowing direct access from international and domestic terminals. Additional luggage carousels will be added to accommodate the Airbus A380. Arrivals will be accommodated on Level 1, with departures expanded on Level 3. Level 2 will accommodate further retail and commercial activities. The Gauteng Rapid Rail Link station is above the terminal. The new international pier development will increase international arrivals and departures capacity in a double-story structure with 9 additional airside contact stands, 4 of which are Airbus A380 compatible. Air bridges are already in place and the existing duty-free mall will be extended into this area. Additional lounges and passenger holding areas will be constructed on the upper level. A second terminal between the 2 runways has also been mooted, which is proposed for completion by 2012. It will contain its own domestic and international check-in facilities, contact stands, shops and lounges and is projected to cost $8 billion to complete. Growth at the airport is expected to reach 24 million passengers per annum by 2015. In November 2009 Air France announced the scheduled flights of their Airbus A380 into Johannesburg's Oliver Tambo International Airport. Air France started A380 flights to Johannesburg on February 17, 2010, initially thrice weekly, now increased to daily. Lufthansa started twice-weekly A380 flights into Johannesburg on September 12, 2010. Lufthansa is now operating the A380 daily into Johannesburg. Emirates Airlines started an A380 daily service to Johannesburg from October 1, 2011, replacing one of their 3 daily 777-300ER flights, which was later cancelled. British Airways confirmed on July 24, 2013 that it will also start A380 services into the airport from February 12, 2014. Initially it will operate the aircraft 3 times weekly, then increasing to 6 times weekly from March 2014. Terminals. There are 6 terminals at the airport, but these can be broken down into 3 major areas: the international terminals, the domestic terminals, and the transit terminals. The transit terminal housed disused parts of the old domestic terminals. It has been mostly demolished to build a new central terminal that will provide an indoor link between domestic and international terminals, as well as a central passenger check-in area and more gates. It was constructed for the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Terminals A1 and A2 handle international passengers while the other 2 terminals handle domestic passengers. Due to the airport's design, departure and arrivals terminals are considered separate terminals. The central terminal that is under construction will be named Terminal A3 and it will be used for both international and domestic passengers. The airline Mango has its head office on the mezzanine level of the domestic departure terminal. The 2 terminals A and B have been restructured. Several airlines now use Terminal B for all check-ins, for both national and international flights. The airlines that move check-in to Terminal B include SAA, SA Airlink, SA Express, Air Mauritius, Qantas and Thai Airways International. Airlines and destinations. Passenger airlines. Note 1: This flight continues from Johannesburg to Cape Town. However, Singapore Airlines does not have rights to transport passengers solely between Johannesburg and Cape Town. Cargo, traffic and statistics. OR Tambo International Airport recorded 18.6 million passengers in 2010 Euro 2011, up from 17.6 million passengers the year before. Of those passengers, 8 million were international and 9.7 million domestic, with the remainder being classified as regional, or unscheduled. 212,918 aircraft traffic movements were recorded, the majority being domestic services. The statistics firmly entrench OR Tambo International Airport as being the busiest airport in South Africa. Top 12 routes, other buildings. South African Airways is headquartered in Airways Park on the grounds of OR Tambo International Airport. The building was developed by Stouchvista Architects. Airways Park was completed in March 1997 for R70 million. The fourth floor of the west wing of the pier development of OR Tambo has the head office of SA Express. Federal Air. It's the head office in Hangar 14. Renaming. In late 2005, a name change was proposed for the airport to OR Tambo International, after former ANC president and anti-apartheid activist Oliver Tambo, an apparent change to the precedent of neutrally named airports. The name change was formally announced in the Government Gazette of South Africa on June 30, 2006, allowing a 30-day window for the public to register objections. The name change was implemented on October 27, 2006 with the unveiling of new signs at the airport. Critics noted the considerable expense involved in renaming the airport, and the decision to use a politician as the name would be obscure, confusing and in some instances, offensive. Corn Mulder of the Freedom Front Plus has stamped the renaming nothing less than political opportunism and attempts by the ANC government to dodge the true socio-economic issues of the country. Unnecessary confusion can be caused, for OR Tambo is also a district municipality in the Eastern Cape, seated in Mthitha. The town of Mthitha has an international airport known as Mthitha Airport, formerly named the KD Matanzima Airport after former Transcape President Kaiser Matanzima. Access, rail transit. A transit terminal has been built between the domestic and international terminals. It houses the Gauteng station linking the airport to Sandton, one of the metropolitan area's main business districts and a primary tourist area, and, from there, the rest of the Gauteng system. In September 2006, Gauteng province contracted Bombardier Transportation for a rail link connecting Johannesburg, Pretoria, and the airport, with construction to begin immediately. The section linking the airport to Sandton in Johannesburg was completed on June 8, 2010 in time for the World Cup. Trains run 90 trips per day and carry an estimated 8,000 passengers daily. Car. The airport is easily accessible by car and it is located in northeast Johannesburg on the A24 Airport Freeway, which can be accessed by the A24 and the A21 highway. The A24 intersects with the A21 near the airport and with the OR Tambo Airport Highway. This highway goes through the airport terminals, separating them from the parking bays, but it branches off into two directions, departures, and arrivals, and then it rebranches into the intersection. Car rental companies serve the airport, with rental locations located on and off the airport. Bus. 5 bus city lines, operated by Metrobus and Putco, pass through the airport twice a day. The buses are accessible in the morning and the evening, when there are many passengers departing and arriving. There are also private bus lines operating express buses to the CBD of Johannesburg, as well as other locations. Accidents and incidents. October 20, 1957, a Vickers Viscount GAOYF, operated by Vickers, was damaged beyond economic repair when the starboard undercarriage collapsed following a heavy landing. March 1, 1988, an Embraer M110 Bandit ZSLGP, exploded in mid-air whilst on final approach for landing. All 17 occupants were killed. A passenger was suspected of detonating an explosive device, but to this day it has never been proven beyond all doubt. April 22, 1999, a Boeing 727-23 was damaged beyond repair by large hailstones while on approach for landing at FAJS. Aircraft landed safely with no loss of life. November 3, 2001, a AREAM Cessna F406 crashed shortly after takeoff from runway 03R, killing all 3 occupants. The aircraft did not have a valid certificate of airworthiness at the time of the incident. On April 9, 2004, an Emirates Airbus A340-300 operating a flight from Johannesburg to Dubai sustained serious damage during takeoff when it failed to become airborne before the end of the runway, striking 25 approach lights, causing 4 tires to burst, which in turn threw debris into various parts of the aircraft, ultimately damaging the flap drive mechanism. This rendered the flaps immovable in the takeoff position. The aircraft returned for an emergency landing during which the normal braking system failed as a result of the damage. The aircraft was brought to a stop only 250 meters from the end of the 3,400-meter runway using reverse thrust and the alternate braking system. In their report, South African investigators found that the captain had used an erroneous takeoff technique, and criticized Emirates' training and rostering practices. March 25, 2006, a gunmen held up guards at the airport gates. Others armed with AK-47 assault rifles held up guards and police at a South African Airways aircraft and helped themselves to bags of £1 banknotes flown in from Britain. Several airport security staff were implicated in the heist. On December 22, 2013, a British Airways Boeing 747-400 operating Flight 34 collided with a building at the airport. 4 ground handling staff in the building sustained minor injuries. As of February 2014, the aircraft was put out of service. See also: List of airports in South Africa, List of South African airports by passenger movements. References. External links: OR Tambo International Airport homepage, Johannesburg Airport information.